Now that Alliance War has finally been released, naturally it is time to start doing deck testing videos. There's a whole bunch of decks that I want to test and try out. Last night on stream I actually tested around 5 or 6 different decks, and this was one of them. Now, there's interesting lists that I want to show, but I think that it is important to do my due diligence and show you what I consider to be the likely decks you'll run into on the ladder, or at least what I expect to end up becoming some meta decks. So while this might not do anything new or interesting, this is actually, in my opinion, a pretty boring list. I think it's important to showcase it. This is my current Ebonheart ramp list. This is essentially Ramp Warrior with the addition of agility, and I don't even think this is close to refined. I had Blackwood Distillers in it, and now I've since taken them out. I think that they could potentially go back in. Currently, I have a couple of cards I'm not running 3 ofs because you have to make some cuts to kind of fit everything in. This is a list where you easily want to run like 85 cards, and then you cut it down to 75. But this is the version that I'm currently using. I was 4-0 with it on stream last night, and again, I'm kind of showing it here. I'm not going to go through each of the choices. I'll do likely a deck spotlight video later where I explain each of the individual ones. But as always, I wanted to show the list at the beginning in case you wanted to take a screen capture. And as always, there will be a deck code in the video description. So we're going to go ahead and hop out now and just jump into 2 games on the ladder, because as I have said before, when I do these deck testing videos, what I do is I play 2 games, win or lose, show you the results, and the goal is that within those 2 games you at least get to see the idea behind the deck. Sometimes we lose both games during these videos, and that's entirely fine. It's not necessarily a reflection of the deck, it's just one of those things where, you know, sometimes you run into bad matchups, or it's a learning experience. You know, when you're deck testing, not every idea that you have is a winner. So, right out of the gate, looks like we're up against a Guildsworn opponent. I think we're going to keep the defensive option, throw the others back. And this is another deck that I plan on trying to showcase at least one version of. I think that Guildsworn has very solid control options, and I think that Guildsworn also has very solid aggressive options as well. Essentially, if you think about taking like Token Crusader and Token Mage and combining them, I think that has a lot of potential power. It's interesting that they didn't play anything. I expect, yeah, a Manic Jack here.
Magnificent monster.
Now, typically I would want to ramp here, but we're gonna do this. I expect this to die. The fact they didn't play anything at all early means they've either got all of their top end or they're sitting on some of their early like tempo removal. But just because we expect it to die doesn't mean we don't take the play. You still play to your outs. We might get lucky. Maybe they use mutation here and it doesn't get ward. You know, as they try to take that like 1 in 7 to save it.
Watch yourself now.
Nope, they just got the ward crafter anyway. Which is fine. I mean, it's not fine, but, you know, it's fine. So in this instance now, I think that what we likely want to do is play our Tree Minder. The faster we can get up to some of these late game cards, the better, because our hand is actually pretty top heavy right now. So I think we go ahead and do that. And there's a couple of different options that we have here. We could Shadow Shift this if we wanted to save it. We could just peel this off. Or we could just wait, make them make the trades, because this is going to trade here in all likelihood. And let's just get rid of it. Let's just pull bodies off the board while we can. It's probably the correct play. Because right now we're in a clunky position, right? Like, we've got powerful cards, but we don't have any of the early game options we would traditionally want. Early game, you want a lot of ramp, a lot of lethal, and activators, as I like to call them. So things like Crossbow, Archer's Gambit, Sword of the Inferno, Squish the Wimpy, so that you can take advantage of your lethal creatures. Oh, absolutely disgusting. So we're gonna play this over here and then cycle this away. There we go. And we're gonna go ahead and do this as well, just to reduce some of the damage that we are likely to take. They will probably take this trade, which at least pops the ward, and then that allows this to potentially clear something as well. Or not. I said potentially for a reason. Alright, tough call because both of these are really dangerous in terms of what we want to get rid of here. But I think that we want to get rid of this one because it's the likely bigger threat. Now there was a case to be made because it's got 4 health, maybe it's more likely to die or be affected by Debilitate, but it also grows at a faster pace than Manic Jack does, so
Chaos take you.
we'll go ahead and take that trade. Again, the fact that they've had so many wards and got a free ward essentially off the mutation is kind of punishing us.
Hardly a challenge.
Alright, a couple of Vipers means we can at least slow him down. We'd like to get this Dark Seducer up and running at some point just to also slow them down, but this is going to be a deck. I can kind of already tell that we'll for sure be running things like at least Javelin for tempo, if not worse. But again, pulling bodies off the board, reducing the damage that we take seems to be the most effective path.
Let's do the fish stick.
Alright, so they're going to play what I call Tempo Giant. And we are going to pray that they don't have hard removal. Try to rely on the Seducer to slow things down. Silence is also an option because, again, this is, I think, Mage with Strength. So they dig for an answer, but hopefully they don't have it. Right. So that gets us some health back.
The fish stick.
Let us begin.
Still not in a great spot. Alright. So that is, in fact, a wee bit annoying. And when I say a wee bit, I mean a lot annoying. We gotta take the Debilitate here. And we really need to try to pop this ward, but I also kind of want to get rid of that over there. So, even though this prevents less damage, it gets rid of an actual creature. And at this point, we're just trying to, you know, pray that maybe Parthenax next turn will give us a good suite of options to remove whatever's on the board. Or maybe we top deck something like Odaving. But, ugh. At least we didn't give them extra. So Crusader's Assault is interesting because it provides breakthrough, which actually buffs Manic Jack.
More than your life. Don't you dare touch them.
Well, this is going to be really, really unfortunate for us because we didn't have a good way to kill this, which means they are, in fact, now going to trigger some big bodies. I'm not sure that we actually have a way out of this, even with the Parthenax Hail Mary. We could Venom Tongue and Rage on this side, which I suppose is actually the only play that comes close to keeping us alive, but then we do still have this to deal with, and this is then going to make a 7/5 next turn. But in theory, this is the only play that keeps us alive. Again, the fact that they got so many wards so early really put us at a disadvantage. So right now, lightning bolt obviously kills us. Mace kills us. You know, a charge creature like a vigilante kills us. There are kind of a host, a plethora, if you will, of cards that just... Well, that will do it. That is an awful lot of bonus damage. All right, so the deck is mortal. We lose with our first one. We'll hop into another one. We were kind of close to stabilizing, ish, maybe. Turns out ward is still a problem. But also drawing all of your top end is a bit of a problem. And now we are likely running into a mirror here. So we'll see how this goes. This is a much, much, much better opening hand. Because if you don't have the ramp early, then and you don't have like defensive tools, just cycle is fine. Like card draw is good. So we're fine with that. I actually think we're going to discard this. Galen's a good pickup, though. So obvious uses for Galen are things like Necromancer, so we'll probably hold on to it. Again, here, we'll cycle. Turns out we just really want a Barrow Stalker anyway.
Care to make a friendly wager?
A Gambler. Alright. It's interesting. We don't really have a good answer. We could try to find one. But even if we did, say, just for example, find like Archer's Gambit or something, we couldn't play this and the card that we draw. So sadly, they're going to get to draw cards. Nothing we can do about it. So we just have to try to set up for a trade that allows us to ramp. So our version of the deck is not currently running Gambler. It may or may not be a mistake. As I said, this thing needs to be refined. The pros to Gambler are, I think, pretty obvious in that it draws you a lot of cards, but also because of your ability to pitch a targeted card to the discard, it makes your Falkreath Defilers that much more impactful, which is also important for a number of reasons. We're just going to go ahead and continue our ramp game, even though we have nothing to ramp into, while our opponent likely does with that many cards. The faster we get there, the more likely we can use the cards that we top deck, so. As I said before, there's a lot of cards I think Ebonheart wants to include. Distiller's one of them. We're also not running Brotherhood, Sanctuary. Alright, pretty likely I was going to say that we eat a crossbow here.
You bet on your own side. I'll scout ahead.
I'm actually fine with discarding that. I really like the idea of Camel here, but I think I just want to do this. Now, might be punished by using my last ring charge there, but trying to get rid of Astrid feels semi-important. I also wanted to ramp. Whenever you use a ring charge to ramp, and that's essentially what all three of our ring charges were, you can kind of think of it as like giving yourself a permanent ring charge. So I don't feel too bad whenever I do it. Other than that, if I had waited, then, you know, you can combine your ramp and the ring charge to go that much faster, but again, our game plan is to get as far ahead of our opponent as possible in terms of the ramp game.
Steal from folks who ain't
Alright, so
you.
here is
That's the
going to
key.
be Defiler into Pure Blood.
I smell blood on the wind.
The void awaits you.
Not exactly a shocking play. That's a good pickup for us, though. So now we just really want to kill this so that we can steal it. We don't have a good way to do so. So let's go hunting. I guess we're taking a Defiler.
You will die where you stand.
Yeah, that was actually rather unfortunate for us.
Thorns and claws.
We're gonna take a lot of damage here, I think.
This should help.
Still don't want that to be a thing, really, though. So, believe it or not, I'm not actually sold that Manny Marco will permanently be in the deck either, in terms of talking about
The void awaits you.
cards that may or may not make the cut, if you will. This is very good in control mirrors and pretty dead
with
in
our
others.
Lord.
It's actually a card I would much rather take, and I think we are going to do just that. If we can stay alive is the problem. So we do have the debilitate that we can use. That means we're still taking at least 7. And debilitate means that we still have to wait yet another turn on Manny Marco. It's probably 6 though, because we would play, I think, Tree Minder to stall as well. Post debilitate. I think that's our best option. The other options are we could cycle Thieves Guild recruits to find cards that are not debilitate. We have no lethal on the board, so even if we draw activators to chew through some of these, it's not helping us a ton. So we're going to go ahead and give them the health to turn around and give them the empower. And then we're going to go ahead and debilitate. And we're going to do this and see what we find. And play a Tree Minder and try to slow them. It is sadly the best option that we have at the moment. But it is not a great option by any means.
The void awaits you.
So they've got at least 2 contracts, so they can go up to 11 here as well. They only need to find 6 damage, so if they run like Tazcad, we're just dead.
I feel alive.
Squish is incredibly helpful if we survive, because we will hopefully steal their Seducer, and then be able to play Squish immediately to gain some drain value while leaving the Seducer up. Give us some room to stabilize. Alright, so they're cycling through to see what they can find. See what they can do with their
This shall heal you.
Magicka. Trying to catch up in the ramp game, which is fair. Going up to 5, up to 6.
Show me what you've got, hero.
Alright. So overall, we're okay with that. For a number of reasons. But we're going to start by getting rid of the lethal creature that's on the board. And then we're going to go ahead and play our Manny Marco to get the Seducer that we so desperately want.
With our Lord.
And then we're going to squish their Naryu to gain some health.
Thorns and claws.
So if they give this breakthrough, then rage is a bit of an issue. You know, if they run improvised weapon. Or it even could just be Daggeth Dagger. I've seen a lot of different variations. But again, not much we could really do about that. We needed the drain, and we needed to, you know, put guards in front of this. So sadly, it was kind of a requirement at the time. But right now, things are looking okay for us to stabilize. Can trade our Manny Marco into this, assuming both survive, and then we could use a Defiler plus crossbow, for example, to resummon our own Manny and then also take their pureblood, should we so choose. Could also just resummon our own Dark Seducer. Alright, so they're looking to just push damage. They basically used a sword for 8 damage, which is respectable. And we also have a red Brahmin, huh?
Long reign the goddess. Steal from folks who ain't.
So we are gonna make this play. Now it's just a question of, do we want Seducer or Manny? And I think it's still Manny here because it gives us the most umph, while also denying our opponent of like more things they can dish from their own discard pile.
Blood on the wind.
And I actually really like the idea of playing Galen on this Necromancer now that we have found one. We just weren't in a good position to do so earlier, but I want to get that done. The only error that I think I've just made now, as I'm kind of hindsight, I wanted to cycle this to see what I could find, but in reality I think playing a Barrowstalker made more sense. Just to both have a guard and another source of drain. Hopefully we can pull that off next turn. And if they don't have an answer for this, then this will be able to pull up that Seducer that was our other option anyway. That's our ideal scenario, is this trades into Camel, which provides us a Seducer. Necromancer over here can fetch us a Histamage.
Not even death can see.
Oh. Oh no. Oh no! That is our worst possible outcome. Our opponent
Walk with our Lord.
has stolen back. Stole my Manny Marco to then steal back. So we don't have many great options in our own discard pile now for the Defiler. But we're not, like, out of options ourselves, either. And this Red Brahmin's a pretty solid play.
Drown in the river of battle.
So we're gonna go ahead and take the Red Brahmin while we can. I do also think that it's pretty important that we still take this Histamage play for a number of reasons. Having the guard is important, but we're also trying to get up to 18 with this to let that do some degenerate things.
Repel the outlanders.
These will go ahead and go here and here.
And your throat.
This is also safe to not break a rune. And then we'll go ahead and come in with this Camel. For what? This is the real question. Let's actually just bring back another one of our own Defilers.
That's the key.
just so that we have one on both sides for potential activations. But with only 3 cards in hand, they need some pretty powerful plays here to come back from this. So even though that was a very good play by them, slowed down some of the insanity we were looking to do, we can still, 1, try to push for lethal next turn, but 2, even if we don't push for lethal, we should be able to both clear this up and get a lot of very quality summons out of it. Because at a minimum, I can trade Red Brahmin in so that it dies, and then use this to trade here.
Prize my servant.
So this is likely getting back some sort of lethal creature to then ping something. Oh, camel. So they're just hunting for potential answers. Suppose now's a good time to show you all, if you haven't seen it, that the board has some pretty cool light up effects with the eyes on the statues. The scrolls will light up internally. This dagger here does some pretty cool things. And we just get the concede. Okay. So they must not have found the answer they liked. And again, even if we didn't have lethal, we easily could have taken control of that board. And that was a great mirror match. You can kind of see the heavyweight fight that I think Ebonheart mirrors are going to be. So, you know, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I hope to catch you in the next video, because like I said, there's going to be a bunch of deck testing videos coming through in the near future. I love you all. Until next time, may you walk on warm sands.